Welcome to State of Minds, presented by Hope Gas and by Peak Health. In this episode, I sit down with Dr. Kevin Blankenship, the founder and medical director of Jacob's Ladder, an addiction treatment community in Aurora, West Virginia. A deeply personal experience within Kevin's family led him to create Jacob's Ladder to help those in the grips of addiction. And now here's Kevin Blankenship's State of Mind. Dr. Kevin Blankenship, Dr. B, Kevin, you're from Independence, West Virginia, Raleigh County, went into the military, you were in the Army. When you got out, you became a pharmacist, you became a medical doctor, you started MedExpress, a very successful business in the medical community, and you sold it. And you started Jacob's Ladder, a recovery center in Aurora. Why?
The two are not necessarily related. When we started MedExpress, myself and three of my dear friends, partners, we started it in 2001. We grew it. I left the company in 2010 after we grew it to a certain point because I thought that I, like you, was going to semi-retire and enjoy life for a change. My son, Jacob's addiction, became known to me about a year or two later after that. And that became the driving force behind everything that I've done since.
How so?
His addiction, first of all, opened my eyes to the fact that I, as a physician, had no idea how to help him. As a parent, I had no idea how to help him. We have a system, we had a system, we still have a system, we've come a long ways, but we had a system that was failing not only folks suffering from addiction, but any type of mental health issues. We've ignored those types of illnesses for generations. And the money just hasn't been there to develop treatment programs that are effective or treatments that make a difference in people's lives. And so, I was faced with the fact that I didn't know how to help him. And so I reached out to colleagues, in the profession and tried to get help. And, basically what we've got out there is a system of 30-day programs based on the Betty Ford Clinic model from the 70s. And that's what insurance companies will pay for. Doesn't necessarily mean that's always what's going to work. Having said that, it works for a lot of people. A lot of people it doesn't work for, just like everything else. And so for my son, I really wanted to make sure that I got it right the first time. Everything that I read about, everyone that I talked to, always repeated the same type of mantra that you have to really go through so many treatment programs before you get it right. You have to hit rock bottom. You have to, all these mantras that we've heard for so long, as a parent, scared the crap out of me because I didn't want him failing over and over and over and risking his life over and over and over. So I wanted to get it right the first time. I really, for about a year, learned as much as I could about addiction. Went to conferences at Harvard. I read every book. I did everything I could do, talked to all the right people. The thing that kept coming around more and more was that we were failing in that we weren't treating people long enough. Okay. There wasn't this continuum of care.
It was 30 days, you're out the door.
Out the door, good luck, and we got you fixed up, so go out there and change the world.
So how'd you come up with 6 months? Because that's what the stay is at Jacob's Ladder. It's 6 months.
It is, and that's just me ripping off the program that my son went to. So I found a program for him out in Flagstaff, Arizona. It's called Back to Basics. Wonderful program, 6 months long. A lot of the things we do at Jacob's Ladder is based on my experiences with him at that program. That's where I got a lot of the idea for it. 6 months is a good start. For instance, if you're a doctor or a lawyer or a pilot and you have an addiction issue, you know how long their treatment program is? 5 years. 5 years, because we know that's what it takes to get you to the other side.
What do you mean we know? And we're going to get a lot into what you do at Jacob's Ladder, but you're a medical doctor. What's happening in the brain? Is 6 months linked to something that's happening in the brain?
The brain change. We're so fortunate right now, Hoppy, in that we have neuroimaging that allows us to learn so much about addiction. The last 10 or 15 years has been big changes for us. 20 years ago, the thought was if you have damaged your brain, that's it. You can't replace brain cells. You're never going to get better. Whatever, maybe a little bit. But now we know the changes that take place during addiction. It basically rewires the brain to basically do what you're supposed to do, and that you're protecting yourself from pain. You're protecting yourself from anxiety, from fear, all these things. You're protecting yourself with this. That's what addiction does. So they're self-medicating. And then it becomes a dependency, a physical dependency, a psychological dependency, which is really hard to overcome. And the two work together to where the brain's dopamine levels change significantly. So they start coming down. You need more and more to make that dopamine level come up so that you start feeling normal again.
So do you believe, or does the research back up that after 6 months of being clean, that your brain rewires?
It absolutely rewires, yes. And the research absolutely bears that out. Now, it's not perfectly rewired at 6 months. As a matter of fact, it takes about 2 years for dopamine levels to return to a normal level. 2 years. And that's an important number to remember, because that's where we measure our success at Jacob's Ladder, is 2 years out from the program. We look at our guys at that point and see how they're doing. We have guardrails up throughout that time and past that time, like the young men that you've seen, Ryan Fieldman and those guys in the
Recovery
documentary,
Boys.
in Recovery Boys.
In the documentary.
We're still constantly in touch with these guys. We've got an alumni group of young men, 200 plus strong, that all engage on a regular basis, and it takes that to get them past that level.
Let's talk about what you do at Jacob's Ladder, because it's fascinating, it's different than a lot of places. It's you're on a farm, there are animals, there are farm responsibilities, there are, I saw a yoga class, I saw, sessions where you're sitting with a counselor and everybody's talking about their situation. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the things that you do there and why they're important.
Yeah. When I started the program up, because I'm an emergency medicine doctor, I don't pretend to be an expert in addiction then, and I'm still not an expert in addiction now. I know a lot more now than I knew then. But my thoughts were then, if whatever we're doing right now is failing, because the success rate for the normal treatment programs that we had, and for the AA and NA and all those, was really low. And if we're failing doing it that way, let's just do something different. And so what I wanted to do was throw as many things at them as I could, combine that with this natural setting on a farm, and add on to that the time period, and see what happens. And it just happened to work. So we have, traditional clinical psychological treatment that you would get in any 30-day program. In addition to that, we also add trauma therapy, EMDR, which is cutting edge stuff and really making a difference for addiction treatment. On top of that, then we've added music and arts. We've got a professional musician who is also a mindfulness guru. He teaches the guys mindfulness and meditation. We've got a stained glass facility up there where we have a local guy come in and teach the guys how to do stained glass. We do experiential therapy by taking them out in the woods. We hike, we camp. I just had the guys out for a hike for a camping trip over the past weekend. We throw all of that together.
Why? What does that do? That's a lot of stuff. It sounds like camp. Okay.
Well,
but so what do those things collectively do?
Collectively, nothing. But individually, something's going to speak to each of these young men.
Okay.
Something's going to work for them. That's what I'm finding. This music and arts may not be what gets this young man over the hump, but it may be exactly what speaks to this young man, right? So we've got it in there for both of them. In addition to that, we take them to 3 or 4 12-step meetings a week. So we hit all of the NA, AA, Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, all of those, because they have their place in treatment as well. I just feel like if we got enough stuff out there on the table, something's going to speak to it.
Speak to them in what way? What are you? What's the essence? What are you trying to get to with these individuals? What core are you trying to reach?
If they don't leave treatment with a belief in some type of recovery system, some type of goal for themselves, then they're destined to relapse. So they've got to take something with them and say, this is my program. Okay, this might not work for you, might not be what he does, but this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to live my life by these standards. I'm going to get up every morning at 8 a.m. I'm going to make my bed. Whatever it is, they've got to have something that gives them that direction and that goal. So they just keep pushing forward and keep pushing forward and keep pushing forward. And along the way, we give them all of these tools with which they can then navigate all of the things that are going to happen in their life, that happen in your life and my life, and all these, life is this, it's not this. Mm-hmm. And so they've got to be able to have tools to deal with that. And we give them a lot of those coping tools up there on the hill. And in addition to that, we're surrounding them with this loving group of alumni and faculty and everyone who's engaged in their life and become part of their family.
The best thing about West Virginia is hope.
The commitment we're making is $2.2 billion in the state of West Virginia.
It's creating opportunities for the next generation to have career-sustaining jobs.
We're creating career paths and jobs.
Everybody's talking about it. Hope Gas is doing it.
This gives opportunities for underprivileged communities to have new jobs, to have new opportunities, and it just gives people hope.
Learn more at wvisforhope.com.
If you're on Medicare in West Virginia, this health plan will be a real game changer. It's called Peak Advantage Medicare, brought to you by the winning team of WVU Medicine and Marshall Health.
I listen to my patients, and I know how important it is for them to have an affordable plan that covers everything they need.
I want you to come home to better Medicare.
Call 1-866-754-5278 today.
At Greer Industries, we make the roads you drive on safer with skid-resistant asphalt. We make the water you drink cleaner with our abundant supply of hydrated lime. We entertain and inform through all types of media. And we designed one of the world's most recognized golf courses. We're Greer Industries, a family-owned company with over 110 years of commitment to making your life better.
At Dan Cava Toyota World. Score big with our game-winning deals, unbeatable finance, and service that goes the distance. Kick off the season with a new Toyota truck that will for sure be the talk of your tailgate. If you need a reliable ride to get you to and from the big games, look no further. Come see us this game day season. Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont, where the road to victory begins. Shop Thorad!
Welcome back to State of Minds, presented by Hope Gas and by Peak Health.
It seems like that in watching the documentary and reading about your all's program and talking with people who've been in the program, that there are men, because it's men only, that they're in a really bad way. They've screwed over people, not everybody, but screwed over people. They've stolen, they've been caught in the cycle of addiction, they've been in and out of rehab, and many of them, I think they want to change, they want to do better, and being there is like something that they can latch onto and say, here's a place, here's other people like me, here's a little community, I got brothers here. It seems like I want to go back to the word collective,
yes,
that there's a power to that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, there is a family element to it. There's no doubt about it. Think about this for a minute, Hoppy. If you're suffering from addiction, say you've been 5 years, you've lost your job, you've lost your house, you lost your kids, your wife, you're ostracized from your family, you've been in jail, all these things, all this trauma that addiction brings with it. And I say, okay, we're going to put you in this 30-day program. Okay, first of all, you're high as we're talking, right? You haven't sobered up yet. You're still addicted, and that's a 2-week process, that withdrawal process. Okay, so the first 2 weeks of your stay at our program, you're going to be sick as a dog. You're not going to hear a thing I say, and all you want is to leave and use. Okay, that's the only thing your brain can hear or think about. So we get you over that hump. Now I've got 2 weeks as a clinician to establish some type of rapport with you and delve into the fact that as a kid you were abused by your uncle. Let's deal with that trauma for a minute that you've been carrying with you. So I got 2 weeks to start that conversation, right? That's what traditional treatment has been to this point. Up at Jacob's Ladder, 3 months in, that's when the light bulb always clicks on. I watch these guys. About 3 months in, now they're over that withdrawal hump. They spend about a month after that thinking we're all full of shit. they're thinking these guys aren't real. This is some kind of cult. They don't really mean anything that they're saying. And then at around month 3, they start saying, you know what? I think these guys might actually care about me. I think they might mean it when they say they love me. When they hug me, it feels real. And they start feeling those walls break down. Another big thing that we do, I think, is we address, since we deal with men, we address the toxic masculinity issue that most of these guys bring with them because they've been living on the streets. You talk about really putting up a facade and a wall of protection. That's what they come with. And we try to break that down for them, try to teach them it's okay to love another person. It's okay to love another guy. It's okay to love yourself. And it's okay to forgive yourself. Those are the things we work on so that they get to the point where they can start being honest with themselves, being honest with people around them, be okay with somebody giving them a hug and caring about them. And once they start believing all of that and feeling that it's real, that's when we can really start making the most dents in the trauma and the work that we've got to do with them. That's when they start opening up and they start really laying it out on the table.
Yeah. One of the, again, I want to go back to the documentary, Recovery Boys, and one of the individuals, I forget which one it was, but maybe it was Adam, said that when he came there, he didn't have any friends. He had other people he used with, and I think he stole from his grandmother and, didn't have any friends. And he says, now I have all these friends. A life change, a significant change in his life that dawned on him, right? So what do you hear them say? What are the phrases you hear them say 3 months in that you say, oh, okay, we're getting there? And and also, I imagine your bullshit detector is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you hear them say and you think, that's BS?
Well, it's pretty easy to pick those guys out. They've been to multiple treatment programs in the past, so they've heard all of this shtick. They know all the right words to say, and what they try to project is, I'm okay. I've got this. Oh. Anyone who tells me they've got it and they've got it figured out and they're very confident, I'm weary of. Because, you're here for a reason. Yeah. The folks that end up in our program are there for a reason. They've had multiple failures, they've had really significant issues, and their parents don't want to see them die. And so, we're pretty good at picking out that kind of stuff. But around 3 months, more than what I hear them saying, it's what I hear them start asking or being interested in. They start thinking long-term thoughts instead of short-term thoughts. In addiction, all you think about is your next fix. That's it. So your brain starts working that way. You never use the prefrontal cortex, which is where decision-making and planning and consequences and all those things live, okay? Around month 3, you've spent time on the farm, you've planted something, you didn't see any immediate results from that. All these things are happening where your gratification is delayed. And around month 3, I start hearing them say things like, really wish I could get my driver's license back because I want to get back in the coal mines, or I want to get back in the field I was working in, but I don't even have a driver's license, or, I want to reconnect with my kids. I lost my connection to my kids. I'd really like to get custody back or get some visitation back with them. I really need to make amends with my parents because I stole from them, and they don't believe in me anymore, and I want them to see that I'm changing. They start thinking all of those futuristic type thoughts. And that's when their brain's really rewiring. It's starting to rewire. They're starting to think the right way.
And then where do you take it from there in the next 3 months? Because then there's the application of those things.
Absolutely. And that's one of the advantages we have of being a long-term program is the last 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, it's mostly social service type stuff. So we are helping them get their driver's license back. We get them in a driver's ed class. We facilitate all that to happen. We start addressing the fines they've got hanging out, the charges that are hanging out there. We take them to the court system. We work through all those things. We try to get as many of those roadblocks taken care of before they get out of there, before all those guardrails come down, because those are the reasons why people ultimately fail. You can succeed in your treatment and still fail and go back to addiction, because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't have a driver's license. I can't work. I don't have a car. I can't get insurance. I can't take care of my family. I don't have anywhere to live. Where else do we expect them to go at that point?
If you're on Medicare in West Virginia, this health plan will be a real game changer. It's called Peak Advantage Medicare, brought to you by the winning team of WVU Medicine and Marshall Health.
I listen to my patients, and I know how important it is for them to have an affordable plan that covers everything they need.
I want you to come home to better Medicare.
Call 1-866-754-5278 today.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
At Greer Industries, we make the roads you drive on safer with skid-resistant asphalt. We make the water you drink cleaner with our abundant supply of hydrated lime. We entertain and inform through all types of media. And we designed one of the world's most recognized golf courses. We're Greer Industries, a family-owned company with over 110 years of commitment to making your life better.
The Mountain State is full of pioneers once again.
We have one of the most advanced robotic heart surgery programs. The world's most advanced clean steel facility. 2,000 construction jobs, 800 full-time permanent jobs.
West Virginia is going to end up being a leader, an example to the rest of the U.S.
West Virginia is for hope.
Hope Gas is lighting the way forward for West Virginia. Learn more at wvisforhope.com.
Welcome back to State of Minds, presented by Hope Gas and by Peak Health.
You've said that one of your guiding philosophies is to be flexible and compassionate. Expand on that.
I think unless you are approaching addiction treatment with compassion, I think you're in the wrong business, first of all. I don't think you can come at it without that compassion. If you're detached from actually feeling for the person that you're trying to help, I think you're in the wrong area. And so I think you got to lead with compassion. The flexibility part is the part that I think that sets us apart, in that most treatment programs are very rote. I mean, everything is, you go to one, it's almost very much like the next one. You break this rule, you get kicked out. I mean, those are the things that are punitive in nature and are preventing people from growing, because this guy's been in active addiction for the last 4 years. He doesn't even know how to get up and brush his teeth and take care of himself in the morning. You know what I mean? He's lost skills of life, let alone following rules or expectations of us. And so I think while we want them to take accountability for their actions, I think we also understand that they're mentally 14 years old. Their brain has stopped developing when they started using. And so you have to take that into account, and you have to be able to be flexible and to come up with consequences that are meaningful, but are not just, we're kicking you out.
Right.
You're done. Because I think too many programs treat it that way.
So you're leading with compassion and flexibility, leading with compassion. But also I've seen you encounter some of the residents, and you and your counselors are very frank, very candid. Like, you lied. No, you need to take responsibility for your actions. You did this. So speak to that part.
Yeah, that's the honesty part. You've got to be honest with them. So, I tell everybody, be compassionately honest with others and brutally honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with what you're in this for.
And are they they're probably in a state of denial for...
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, they've lived their whole adult life manipulating the system, manipulating their parents, manipulating authority figures. Their life is one lie. That's it. And they don't know how to live any other way. I'll watch some of these guys come in and just, you can see them go into the kitchen and steal a snack and take it up to their bedroom just because that's what they've been doing their whole life, you know what I mean? And so it's a rule, you don't take snacks up to the bedroom, but they'll do it anyway just because that chaos is something that they can't live without in the beginning. It's the only thing,
it feels
the only way they feel normal.
It feels natural, normal, yeah, it feels normal.
Yeah.
Your mission statement says gratitude and awakening by fostering an environment where mindful living and loving concern for self, others, and the earth nurtures the roots of sustainable recovery. That's a heavy lift there. How did you come up with that?
It's some good words, isn't it? We were sitting around as a team trying to figure out, how we were going to make this program make sense. And I can't even remember whether Eric Liphart is a friend of mine who helped us with MedExpress in the advertising part of things. He may have come up with some of those words. Those words are too big for me. But it does absolutely describe what we do. I mean, the farming part of what we do, there is something, and without sounding too hippified, but there is something about sticking your hands in the soil and doing something out in nature on a regular basis that changes the way your brain works. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I live a more peaceful life myself right now, after 10 years of doing what I've been doing than I've ever lived in my life. I sleep well, and I attribute it all to changing my lifestyle.
Really?
And adopting everything that I'm teaching these guys, I've adopted. Myself, my family, we all have a very honest, loving, compassionate relationship. Our kids, our grandkids, we're walking exactly what we're trying to get these guys to do. We're walking that
One
life.
of the key parts you have in the mission statement is sustainable recovery. That's the challenge, isn't it? And I know that your record is very, very good. Because you look at 2 years, not just 3 months, 6 months. You look at 2 years, and I believe your rate is 70% are still sober after 2 years, which is remarkable. So, how do you help them stay sober, and why do some not?
Connection is the way that they stay sober. Connection is the absolute must for any program, and you could be a 30-day program, but if you've got some type of system built in to stay in touch and to stay in their lives after that, that's fine. But you can't just treat them and street them. The fact that we stay connected with these guys, and we've got 3 Bow Park softball teams now. We started out with the one, now we've got 3 teams that we filled because we got so many guys wanting to do it. Just one example of the things we do as an alumni. We have an alumni breakfast over at Grandma's place over in Star City, over in Granville. I mean, every the first Thursday of every month. And the guys come out and we have breakfast. And these are just the little touch points of staying in their lives, knowing what they're doing, knowing what their employment is, knowing how their kids are, all of those things that we keep in touch with is a way for them to know they're part of a family and that they've got people looking out for them. Having said that, everyone stumbles from time to time. The beauty of us being that engaged with these guys and them being that enlightened to their recovery is that when they do trip, it's not I went off on a bender for the last 3 weeks and I'm close to dead and have wasted away. It is I used once and they pick up the phone.
Really?
I drank a beer, they pick up the phone.
And your response is what?
Our response is let's grab a coffee. Let's get together and talk about this. Let's get some folks around you and let's figure out what it was, because it didn't just happen.
There's a trigger.
You used, but you relapsed 2 weeks ago probably, when you started thinking a certain way. So what was it? What happened? You stopped going to meetings, or you didn't answer any phone calls, or whatever it was led you down that path. Let's identify it so we can prevent that from happening again.
Yeah. You obviously you must become pretty close with some of these guys, right?
Absolutely.
Let's So does your heart get broken?
Absolutely. Yeah. Every day.
Every day?
Every day. We've lost a handful of guys who have come through our programs. Very few, but I've been to a few funerals, and I carry those guys with me every day. We still have guys who relapse, and it breaks your heart. We still have guys struggling, and it breaks your heart. But the gratitude, the overwhelming amount of gratitude of watching these guys knock it out of the park. I got one of our graduates who completed law school last year and passed the bar, and he's out there practicing right now. And guys just taking care of their families, reconnecting with their kids, being a father, raising their children, doing all the things that they were meant to do before the addiction.
Could you have foreseen that when you started this?
I'll be honest with you, Hoppy, when I started this thing, there's probably a selfish part as a father that was the overriding force in me doing this, in that I thought that if my son, because he's got a felony record, I mean, he went back to school and completed his psychology degree and all those things, but he's unemployable for the most part.
But he's sober and he's working with you all.
Yes,
right?
He is. Yeah. And that was part of my goal, was to have a place that he could work and stay connected to recovery, and that somehow I could keep him alive. Knock on wood, his success has far outshined what I thought he would be able to do, because I've watched so many people struggle in addiction. He went through it, he got it right, and he has stayed there.
At Greer Industries, we make the roads you drive on safer with skid-resistant asphalt. We make the water you drink cleaner with our abundant supply of hydrated lime. We entertain and inform through all types of media. And we designed one of the world's most recognized golf courses. We're Greer Industries, a family-owned company with over 110 years of commitment to making your life better.
The best thing about West Virginia is West Virginia.
It's family, faith, and integrity.
It's a strong work ethic.
Everyone knows their neighbors. I think we feel closer to nature and we feel closer to each other.
You can achieve anything here.
To be a West Virginian is to be hopeful. We live in a state that has boundless opportunities, and with boundless opportunities come hope.
Hope Gas is lighting the way forward for West Virginia. Learn more at wvisforhope.com.
When it's time to finance your new home, think local. At Poca Valley, we make decisions locally, and you'll be assisted by local banking professionals, your friends and neighbors, during and after your closing. We also offer 100% financing to qualified applicants with no PMI insurance required. Plus, we have strong construction loans and a full suite of conventional government and West Virginia housing loan products. Call us or visit us online at PocaValleyBank.com to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're on Medicare in West Virginia, this health plan will be a real game changer. It's called Peak Advantage Medicare, brought to you by the winning team of WVU Medicine and Marshall Health.
I listen to my patients, and I know how important it is for them to have an affordable plan that covers everything they need.
I want you to come home to better Medicare.
Call 1-866-754-5278 today.
Welcome back to State of Minds, presented by Hope Gas and by Peak Health.
There's been a lot written and said about Jacob's Ladder. Has this formed a template that can be replicated elsewhere? Do you know?
Absolutely. I think, I honestly, my intentions when I opened this, because I thought, I came from the world of MedExpress. We grew that thing to 200 and some clinics. And I thought, I'll figure out the model. I'll make sure that it makes money, that it's sustainable. It can be replicated, and then I'll put together a team and we'll start building these things out. The thing I didn't count on was you don't make any money in addiction treatment.
Well, but you get, what do you get, Medicaid and some private pay?
It's mostly private pay and Medicaid.
Okay.
I assumed that there would be plenty of folks out there like myself who had insurance and who had the wherewithal to pay the difference and, wanted their kids to stay alive. And, because the program that I took Jake to out of Flagstaff, they didn't even take insurance. It was all cash. They didn't even worry about Medicaid or anything like that. And they had a waiting list a mile long. So I assumed, we'd have the same thing. Didn't turn out that way back here in West by God. Lots of Medicaid and we struggle at raising funds. We've got a few grants along the way. But if this is easily reproducible, if someone wrote the check, I'd build them out and I'd start more of these things. But I've got all the funds I had left tied up in the one that we've got going, and all the work I can stand at that one. But yeah, if we had the funding, I'd love to do more programs. I'd love to do a women's version of Jacob's Ladder.
So I'm guessing that whatever money you made from MedExpress, you sunk a lot of it into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you happy with the ROI on that?
Oh, it's the best money I've ever spent. I've got no regrets whatsoever.
What is your message? You know better than anyone the addiction issues in this state, in our region. What's your message to anyone who would watch this, who has addiction issues, a family member, and almost everybody in West Virginia has been touched in some way? What's your message to them? And they may be at the end of their rope, like many are.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
I would encourage them to reach out and talk to each other. Watch Recovery Boys. So Recovery Boys itself has opened so many conversations for families. I still, to this day, on a daily basis, will get a Facebook message or a message from someone all across the country and around the world who've watched this, and it's funny you mentioned the flexibility and the compassion a moment ago, because I just got a message yesterday, I swear, yesterday from a woman who said, that's my mantra in life now, flexibility and compassion. When you said it, I thought, has she been talking to him? but if they just talk, if they just sit down and talk to their family member, if they open up and become honest, reach out to other families who are affected. And I encourage families all the time. And I know this is a private thing, and I know it's embarrassing. And when it happened to my family, people knew me here in the community. And when Jake's addiction became, a big issue, I didn't hide from it. And I'm never going to hide from it, because I know that if I'm out there and I'm telling the story, and I've had 1 million families reach out to me and say, hey, my son's struggling too. What can we do? And that's because you're honest enough to open up and to talk. And so what I encourage people to do is please plug in with somebody, tell your story to somebody, help other people, and if we're working together and we're being honest and compassionate with one another, everybody can come out of this okay.
Can they come to your place?
Absolutely. Whether or not I can get them in my place, contact us, and we've never turned anybody away for help. I mean, we're going to help people as best we can and try to point them in the right directions. I've got 1 million guys, who will sit down and speak with their son, with their daughter, whoever it is struggling, and try to get them in the right place.
Yeah. You're doing good work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very much.
Thanks, Hop.
Thank you.